Welcome to Leaving Crazy Town with Finn and Sarah. Today, Sarah and I are going to break down what it means on the personal Bill of Rights to have the right to change your mind. We've been breaking it down here. When is a commitment you stick to? What does that mean? You know, we all say, I said I would and I have to. So we're breaking that down today.
Yes, and I just want to say for people who don't know what the personal Bill of Rights is, there's a book called the Anxiety and Phobia Workbook. It's a famous workbook it's at Barnes & Noble or Amazon. But in that book, which has a bunch of great tools for anxiety and depression, is this list called the Personal Bill of Rights. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot because it's woven in with the codependency is we have the right to change our mind.
Yes. And just FYI, if you Google Personal Bill of Rights, there are several versions of it.
Yes.
Some of them are very key and core. They may be worded differently, but they're all pretty much the same idea.
Got it. Okay. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
okay,
there's
great.
several out there.
Okay. So the one we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about, like Finn was saying, the difference between what is something we commit to and we want to keep that commitment. We want to be a person that people can rely on. And what's the distinction between that and this personal Bill of Rights, which is I can change my mind. I have the right to change my mind. So let's talk about the right to change our minds. When do you notice this come up?
The right to change my mind?
Yeah, or when you think, what is usually going on in your life, or I don't know if I would say it differently, but you know, when you say to yourself, oh my God, I don't want to do that. Do I have the right to change my mind or not? When do those circumstances usually happen?
Well, the desire to change my mind comes up a lot.
Okay.
Because I will make plans, I'll agree to stuff or whatever, and inevitably when the time's arising, I don't want to do it because my need or desire to feel comfortable and isolate always kicks in. So I might be having a dinner party at my house and suddenly it's the day of and I wish I wasn't having it.
Right.
Also where I impulsively agree to do stuff and I didn't really think about whether I want to or not. And then I might have agreed to do something and the day comes and I'm tired and I don't want to do it. So there's a lot of scenarios that Sarah and I have actually pulled apart and looked at. Like, when is it, like, while it's my right, when is it just really not doing it in a responsible way or doing it out of fear, things like that. Where before I used to be fearful to speak up and change my mind because I thought I had to commit to everything I said yes to.
Yes. Because
I said it, my word is bond. You know, who will ever trust me if I change my mind?
Yes.
Versus, not like getting to that place where I just blow anything off. That's not where I'm at, but.
Yes. And I think how it's related to codependency is this, and this is what we're discussing, is very often codependents have a hard time when asked to do something. Can you bring 5 pies to Christmas? Can you, babysit my 3 kids or whatever? They have a hard time saying no. So a lot of times people who struggle with codependency end up becoming overburdened with all these responsibilities that they really don't want. So when I'm talking about, and Finn can give an example too, when I'm talking about having the right to change my mind, usually it's around, I impulsively say yes to something which I didn't really think through. So someone asks me to a dinner party or asks me to, do a favor for them. Or I can't think of a specific example right now, but I definitely didn't think about it. And then I may wake up the next day and go, oh my gosh.
Regret.
That's really, once you kind of sit with it and you think, do I have time to do this? Is this something I really want to do? Do I have the energy to do it? Are these people I want to be with? Like when you really sit with the reality, is it something I should have said yes to?
I need or want.
Yes.
So in the flip side of that is a well thought out agreement to do something and setting a commitment in the future and later realizing that it's either not a good date, something else come up, you have a family obligation, something that interferes with that date.
Yes.
And well enough in advance that you could contact the person you made the commitment to and say, hey, you know what, can I do it another night? This day doesn't work for me. This night doesn't work for me. But I don't do that because I have fear of what they're going to think about me if I assert what my needs and wants are in the opposite directions. You see, so like it can work both ways.
Yes, and you know what happens, another codependent thing? What do codependents do? Codependents who are afraid to speak up for themselves in that example, what do? They wait. They're so afraid to say, I can't make it on the 17th, that they avoid it. And then the day before the event, this has happened to me with people canceling on me. I'm like, if they knew they couldn't do it, why didn't they tell me 3 weeks ago? And I'll get a call and they'll say, oh my God, I just can't do it. And it's crazy because you're like, why didn't you tell me? And why people don't say it is because they're afraid. And in the end, you create
chaos.
Chaos. It affects the relationship. If you just did the hard thing, Glennon Doyle, I think her name is, can't do the hard thing. Do the hard thing initially. Small-term pain, long-term gain.
Right. Literally, that person could have their whole week free, their day free, whatever. But instead, you would tell them last minute, they've held that time and space for you, that spot for you. And now you've pulled the plug on it. It's not fair.
No.
It's not fair because your codependency and your inability to speak up is now affecting other people.
Yes.
Okay, so what are some of the scenarios where we've worked through this?
Yes. So I'm trying to think of a specific example, but
Would you like me to give one?
Yeah,
because
please
I have
give
a
one.
specific
All right,
one.
you got one.
I'm on the phone last year with my stepson.
Okay.
And he is telling me about how he bought his place in Vermont and he doesn't want to be up there all the time alone and how lonely he is and that he thought the family would use the place more and blah, blah, blah. And I'm activated because he's lonely. He's not having a good time. He wants us at his place. And out of my mouth comes, I'll come up to Vermont and stay with you for January and February.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's a big one.
He says, great. We finished the conversation. I'm now going to Vermont all winter, evidently. Get off the phone, and I'm like, what the F did I do? Because let me tell you something. I don't like being cold. If I were in Vermont all winter, I would have to drive to Boston, which is like 4 hours to get to work. I mean, not thought out, complete codependent impulse.
Yes. Because you wanted to keep him company.
I wanted to fix his feelings. I want no wanting to keep him company. He was having some feelings on the phone. I needed to fix it immediately.
Oh, this is so brilliant.
So what I did was when I got off the phone with him and I was like, what did I just do? Literally, it's almost like I get body snatched in those scenarios sometimes. Yes. Somebody I love is having a hard time and they're sharing it with me. I get body snatched and Fix It Man shows up. No matter how it's going to influence my life. Like I have pets at my house, like chickens. Can't just leave them for I don't know what I was thinking.
Right.
Anyway, I called him back and this is what I said.
Right.
I said, I got really codependent on the phone and I promised to come up and stay with you for 2 months in the winter. That's actually not going to work for me, but I would be happy to visit.
Yes.
A week at a time.
Yes.
And he chuckled and we got off the phone.
Yes. Perfect. That's a huge one. So
children and activation.
Yes. Yes. So, but that's a great example because why do we say yes? Because someone else might be having feelings and we don't want them to feel their feelings. And
would it have been a lot easier for me to just bite my tongue and listen to how he was feeling, acknowledge how he was feeling, ask him what he planned to do about it, and he resolved all that stuff and is, excelling greatly in his own emotional state without me having gone to Vermont to fix it, but, and then instead of being like, oh, now I got to call him back. So now not only did I agree to it, I'm thinking he's feeling relieved, and now I've got to call back and pull the plug on him and make it, give him a nice roller coaster for a minute. Way worse.
Yes. So try to practice when someone is having feelings or going through something. The codependence need is to solve it, fix it, commit to something you really don't want to do. Just pause. Notice your feelings. Try to be in your own body. You know what? You can always call them later if you really decide to do something. But try to not impulsively offer a bunch of things. So that's a really great suggestion because I know you've done it and we've all regretted it. And I'm just going to give a quick example, and this is probably going to be controversial, but say someone needs you to speak at a meeting and they ask you to speak at a certain meeting. And in the old days, because the belief is you never say no, never say no to anybody that asks. And the same thing with if someone asks you to sponsor them or this is the thing, you guys. There are certain things that, yes, would be good if you could do and you have the bandwidth and you have the energy and the time. But to impulsively say yes to something out of some rule that you've heard and not really think what's best for you, I would just think about that.
Yeah,
it's
because
okay.
you're drawing other people into your unmanageability, basically.
Yes. If I have to be home with my son on a certain day and I need to get a babysitter and I need to change this and I got to leave work and I'm rearranging my entire life because I think I'm so important and the only one that's going to speak at a Thursday night meeting.
Well, then you slide into a Thursday night meeting last minute, hair on fire, right. I've seen people do that. Their life's so chaotic and crazy, but they made a commitment. So they slide into the meeting last minute. They're rage sharing and...
Right.
And
there's no right answer here, but it's really thinking about what's best for you. Obviously, speaking and doing commitments, in your program is going to help you.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
So if you were to make a commitment, you said yes, and now you're deciding, wait a minute, that's not really going to work for me. And the meeting's next Thursday.
Yeah.
What's the best approach to resolving
that? Best approach is to call the person immediately. Is to look at my part, to look at, how did I respond impulsively? Call the person immediately and say, gosh, Joe, and this is literally happened with a guy named Joe. This did happen to me. And I said, oh my gosh, I know you asked me to speak last week. I'm really sorry. When I thought about it, I've got too many things going on in my life. At the time, there was so much stuff going on. I got to be home with my son. I promise I will speak for you another time, which I did. And he was grateful because it was early. He could get another speaker.
Last minute's harder.
I didn't avoid it. You know what I mean? And again, you're also sharing honestly with someone. I'm being vulnerable. I'm sharing my truth.
All right. Now, changing your mind doesn't mean not showing up because you're having fear. Right. Canceling last minute because you're having fear.
Right.
Or canceling because you're sick. That's okay. That isn't changing your mind. Those are events that come up that, obviously, if I'm sick, we don't want to go somewhere and spread it.
Yes.
But also, if I'm suddenly I don't want to share at that meeting on Thursday, oh my God, I'm scared. And then I either don't show up or I last minute cancel. That isn't me changing my mind. That is me giving into my fear.
Yes.
And not showing up for responsibility, not based on what works for me, but based on my own fear.
Yes.
So that's not changing your mind.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to say about changing our mind, I wish I could remember what it was.
Okay.
Well,
we were talking about the commitment thing too. How do we know if something's a
commitment,
a big commitment? To not again, basically what Finn's saying, if I've committed to doing a weekend workshop and that's a commitment, I can have different feelings about that and be scared about it. But that's a commitment I made to the person, and I'm just tolerating different feelings.
And you can still change your mind in scenarios like that, but you got to think about the timing, how much money and effort went into advertising you as a specialist or something like that. And there are other scenarios where, it doesn't necessarily matter.
Yes, this is the thing. You can be someone that people can count on and know that you're someone who is a commitment person. And you can be someone known to people that you're going to do what's best for you. And both those things are right.
Right.
You don't have to be either or. You don't want to be someone who's canceling all the time because
No.
that's not good. You know,
But then canceling isn't changing your mind. Like, that's the thing. Like, when you say, wow, I really can't do that, you're doing it in enough advance time.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm talking about people that have a pattern.
Yeah, I know.
Patterns of behavior.
yeah, that's not changing your mind. That's
Right.
being somebody who doesn't show up.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Even if it's canceling in advance, it's still somebody who never shows up to a commitment, in my
Yes.
mind. The other thing I was going to
Okay.
say, I just remembered, was when you change your mind, when you change plans, when you cancel, and I'm talking about the kind where it's appropriate, like it's
Yes.
2 weeks in advance, you let people know,
Yes.
or you impulsively said something and you call them right back,
Yes.
or within a day or two. If, like, not everybody's going to respond and be grateful for that.
Yeah.
There are going to be people
Yes.
who are mad,
Yes.
that are reactive, that are
Yes.
whatever. But that is not your problem. If you can own what you did and say, wait, I gave him advance notice, I explained, that's okay.
Yes.
Like, that's their stuff,
Yes.
not yours.
Yes. So you can see this kind of, it's a small issue, but it's huge. Because again, people who struggle with codependency, this plays out in all kinds of ways. So,
I'm surrounded by people in my life today that want me to do what's best for me.
yes.
Because they care about me. And they know when I choose what's best for me, it's not about them.
Yes.
It's not that I don't like them, I don't want to be with it's because it's what's best for me. Bottom
Absolutely.
line, end of story.
Absolutely. I could say a bunch of other stuff, but we're running out of time. So
practically.
fasten your seatbelt. We're leaving.